Hey family, it is Dr. Sabrina here, and it is day number 5 of the 28 days of love. Yes, for 28 days, yours truly, Dr. Sabrina, the people expert, will be giving information lessons on love, and not just romantic love, no, all kinds of love, because we love different people in our lives differently. And so, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. That's the only thing that there just seems to be so little of. So we're gonna go in tonight and talk about the 4 elements of love. Yes, the 4 elements of true love, of real love. To know that you are really in love with this person, that you have that intense feeling for this person. And what I want you to do, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube page, The People Expert. I want you to follow me on Instagram at The People Expert, or you can check me out on Facebook at Sabrina Jackson. But I am so excited because this is just a labor of love for me. I really want us to concentrate on love, be more mindful of love, especially with the people that we live with, we work with, to just have a space of love. And so, tonight, for our day number 5, we're going to talk about the true elements, the 4 elements of true love. The first element is loving kindness. Being loving and being kind. Loving kindness. And so, when you have loving kindness towards another person, you desire to make their existence happy or joy filled. You desire to make things good for them. You want the best for them. You want your interaction with them to make them happy, to make them joy filled. And not only do you have that desire to do that, but you have the ability to do that because you have that connection with that person, whether it be your child, whether it be your parent, whether it be your coworker, that you have the ability that when you're in their space, that things you do, things you say, gives them feelings of happiness and of joy. And so, yes, the first is loving kindness. And I say this all the time. The word tells us, it's by loving kindness have I drawn thee. Who you drawing? Who you drawing into your circle? Who you drawing to want to be around you? Or are you repelling people because you're non-tolerant? You're not accepting, you're not loving, you're not kind, and you're repelling. And you're judgmental. That's not true love, being judgmental. No. Number 2 is compassion. And with compassion, the desire you have with compassion is to ease another person's suffering, or if there's difficulty going on with them, you want to make it better for them. You have empathy. And empathy is a skill that is absolutely necessary to be able to stop and look at it from the other person's point of view. To have empathy is to not always be me. You have to stop and look at how you can make another person feel better, think better, be elevated in their thinking. And so not only do you have this desire, but with compassion, when you're connected and yoked up with the right person, you have the ability to do so. Excuse me. So I want to tell you about a small little story. Both my parents are deceased now, but my parents were married for 45 years before my dad made his transition, and my parents were ride or die for each other. And so my dad had colon cancer, and he had been going through treatments and things of that nature. And my mother really was his primary caregiver. For several years, they didn't even tell us what was going on. They wanted us to get on with our life, do what we were doing, and my mother really took care of my dad. So when we found this out, we wanted to give my mother a break. So we sent her to Florida to go visit my middle brother. And while she was gone, my younger brother and I were checking in on my dad, taking care of him. He got very ill, so ill that he was in intensive care, and we really thought that we were going to lose him. And so we called for my mother to come home. And so we were in the hospital and we were praying, and me and my brother were in there together. And my brother just said, very flippantly, All he needs is a shot of Dot. My mother's name was Dorothy, and so they called her Dot. And so he just said that's all he needs. If he had a shot of Dot, he'd be all right. And so my mother got back, and she was in the hallway talking to the nurses and things. She had not even made it to the room yet, but he heard her voice. And when he heard her voice, his blood pressure, which had been down and they could not get it to rise, went up immediately. It went up immediately, stayed up. He was out of intensive care the following day. And the next day after that, he was at home. And so we were sitting around the bed, just kind of kicking the game. And my brother just looked at me and said, I told you all he needed was a shot of Dot. Because that compassion and connection that they had, she wanted to ease that thing for him. And she had the ability to. Oh, don't you want to be in love with somebody that just does it for you? They get you, you get them. You love them, they love you. You want to be around them, they want to be around you. What a wonderful thing when you have those true elements of love. Number 3 element is joy. And I so love joy. Joy is not just an emotion. And a lot of times we get it mixed up. We think that, to say we're joy-filled is an emotional thing. But it's a little deeper than that. Joy is a spirit. It's one of the fruit of the spirit. The fruit of the spirit is one whole fruit with several different components. One of the components is joy. So you can have joy even when things are not going your way. You can have joy even when you're grieving. You can have a spirit of joy that just kind of rests within you. And so when you have true love, you have joy being around that person. You have delight when you're around, and they have delight when you're around them. You take pride in knowing that that's your thing, that's your boo, those are your children, that's your mother. You have a pride. Your chest kind of swells when you think about that person in your life. You also take solace. You take comfort in being around them. I am extremely close to my son, and I have, of course, pride. My chest is always stuck out when it comes to him. But I almost feel like I have a rest than what I am in the world than when I'm with him, and we can just kind of kick back and I can be me, and I don't have to be Dr. Sabrina. I can just be mama. And so you also have, when you have that joy emotion, that joy spirit, that joy that bubbles up from the inside, you can have good humor with a person. I love good humor. I love a good laugh. So you want to have that when you in that true connection with someone. And then number 4, the last one, is freedom. Freedom is a huge, huge thing, because who wants to be around someone that when you are around them, it makes you feel confined. It makes you feel constricted. It makes you feel like you can't be who you are. You can't enjoy the things that you enjoy. It does not allow you the freedom to be you. So when you have true love, there's a freedom there. There's a freedom to tell your truth and to stand in it. There's a freedom to be all the things that God has made you to be. There is an ability that you can do the things, and that person is elevating, encouraging, inspiring, just empowering you to be all that you can be. They also know that there's a power and a light that lives in you that they gain strength from, that they gain warmth from. And so they are always pushing you to be the best you. And then there's opportunity that happens when you are in a space of freedom. That when those doors of opportunity opens, they are there pushing you through. They're saying, yeah, maybe you're not doing it before, but you can do it now. They absolutely have that connection with you. So if you have family members, friends, co-workers who are people that you love, if it's true love, one of the elements is there's a freedom to just be you. So I am so glad that you were with me today on this day number 5, and to think about over the next 24 hours and assess the 4 elements of love. #28 days of love. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow.